I've learned to like about myself is that I don't take too many things in this life too seriously. And I can't really trace back where it started or where it got planted or any of that kind of stuff, but I know that it began to blossom when I was in Marine Corps boot camp. And if you don't know, the Marine Corps boot camp, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's terrible. It's the worst thing I've ever done. But it's really not that bad. You spend a really ridiculous amount of time being yelled at in just your underwear. Some of you may like it. But when you get to boot camp for the first 3 or 4 days, all they do is just run you ragged all over the base, and you get all your stuff you're going to need for the next 3 or so months, and you get your boots and your uniform and your bag to carry it all in, and they give you a gun and they give you all this stuff, and you got to carry it with you everywhere you go. But one of the things they give you is this little like a name stamp, and it has you break off all letters and you spell your name. And my name is Coghlan. It's a good Irish name, just like it's pronounced just like it's spelled. And so you have to take that and you put your last name on there, and you take the ink and you stamp it on there, and you stamp everything you own because everybody has the same stuff you have, and you have to have your name on it. And you tag your shirt and your hat and another shirt here, your bag, your gun, your boots, and all the stuff that goes underneath all the other stuff. And then you go to boot camp. And this is really one of the most important pieces you will ever get in boot camp, because they actually have an inspection for how well you mark your clothes. Is there too much ink? Is there not enough ink? Is the lines or the letters spaced too far apart? Is there a little edge on there? So they came up with a good idea. They said what you do is you'll take one of everything, iron it, clean it, iron it, really nice, mark it really nice, and then you put it in a bag, and when they have that inspection, you just take it out of the bag, and bing, bang, boom, there you are, and you pass the inspection, and everything is great. You hold on to this bag, you don't do anything with it until the inspection time. So then you go on and you have the rest of the wonderful time at boot camp, you do all this other crazy stuff, and 2 very important things happened to me while I was at boot camp. Number 1 was my daughter was born, and she's here tonight, and she's very wonderful. The second thing that happened was I had a birthday. My grandma sent me a card for my birthday, and she sent me a brand new crisp $20 bill, which I couldn't do anything with. Because they also issue you a little debit card, a little white debit card you can use when you go to the PX and buy your soap and anything else you really need. It's just really soap. That's really all you buy. But they give you that, and yes, you also have to mark that as well. So you go on through boot camp, and it's pretty wild, and like I said, it's really awful. But it's not that bad, but it's awful. So you go through boot camp, and you come to the end, and the last 3 days of boot camp are the most important times of boot camp, because the 3rd day before graduation, you get to see your family. Your family comes to see you. And they get to have dinner with the drill instructors, and then you march in, and you get to see them. And for the first time in months, I got to see my wife and this little tiny baby. She was like this big, and I got to see my parents and my father-in-law, and I wish in that moment I could tell you that at that moment I knew I was going to be the best dad and a proud, loyal son and make my father-in-law proud, but all I could really think was, my God, my wife is so hot. But you only get to see him for an hour. And then the second day, you get to take him on tour around the depot, and I got to spend time with my wife, and she had this orange flowery dress on, and her skin was so white and soft. And I bought her this that little plastic card I had. I bought her this little Marine Corps locket, and I gave it to her. And we were on a little tram going around the depot, and she said, "Why don't you put it on me?" She took off her little sweater and got to barely touch her skin, and it was like all the fireworks in the world went off at one time. And you finish your tour around the base, and then the next day is the big day, graduation day. Your uniform looks perfect, it looks great, and everything's going on, but I had one problem. Did not have a clean pair of underwear. Because at this time, all I cared about was getting the hell out of Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego. Going home with my super hot wife and my little tiny baby. I didn't think about underwear. I could just wear dirty and I don't want to do this. I'm in my Marine Corps uniform. I'm graduating from Marine Corps boot camp and everything's got to be great. So I started asking around, do you have an extra pair of underwear I can borrow? Well, keep. I'm not going to give it back to you. A pair of underwear I can keep. And nobody had anything except for my friend Hoffman. And Hoffman said, the only clean pair of underwear I have is my inspection pair that's in the bag.
Oh, no.
He said, and I'm not touching it. I said, man, Hoffman, I got a deal for you. I will pay you with a crisp, brand new $20 bill for that pair of underwear. And he did. We made the deal. It was one of the best deals ever. So you go to graduation and you're there in your uniform and you turn around and then they tell you that you're dismissed and you go back with your family and you go back to the hotel and everything is as fast as humanly possible and my wife and I we say just kind of see you later to our family and we go upstairs to the hotel and to change and I'm there and I'm getting ready to change and I take off my signature Marine Corps blue dress pants and I'm getting ready to take off all the other stuff. My wife is just sitting there looking at me. She says, "Who's Hoffman?" Thank you so much.